Our primary focus is to take the craft of sort of high-end production values and apply them to natural history, conservation, environmental films. I've been making films and television for 30 years, and I have a real affinity for the out of doors. I have a real affinity for conservation. And what I found was missing from most conservation natural history films was storytelling and craft. And so what we've tried to do is to bring those kind of Hollywood, quote unquote, disciplines to a genre of filmmaking that I really love. So one part of our business is working with conservation organizations that may not necessarily have a high budget that can afford full HD cam, HD finish. The other part of our business is that we shoot in 35 or HD cam for these installation theaters. And what it allows us to do is to create a really great movie that has a fixed locale. They usually build a theater for the film, and the films run for 5 to 10 years. I started out as an independent documentary filmmaker at Los Angeles City College. And I made a film when I was 19 years old in Yosemite, and it took off. And I didn't think about looking for work until I was 37 years old. It was just the doors opened, great things happened. When I was I went back to the East Coast. I was born here in California. I went to the East Coast when I was about 20. I worked for the Smithsonian. I worked for the National Park Service. And then I came back to Los Angeles in about 1983 or 84. I made an independent documentary feature film that was nominated for an Academy Award. And then I was able to work in what was emerging as reality television. I worked for Those Amazing Animals, which was a spin-off of That's Incredible. And then from there I went on to work for Unsolved Mysteries as a director for almost 10 years. I directed Unsolved Mysteries for 10 years, and it was a gruel. Probably 100 nights in a hotel every year. Having said that, it was great boot camp because you had to arrive on location, do the interviews, write a script, shoot the story, go back to the editing room, and cut a coherent story. You do that 100 times, and you kind of figure out how to tell a story. So it was an incredibly important and extraordinary experience. I mean, it was great. I mean, it's like, you know, it was just a great experience. Few people have that opportunity anymore because, you know, it's not reality. That is not reality television. Reality television is shooting 300 hours of material and cutting a 15-minute story. We actually had to shoot the interviews, block a scene, create dialogue, and cut the story. So it was boot camp. I was in the White Horse Bar in Greenwich Village in New York City in 1979, and I met this guy at the bar who said he and his brother were building a windmill on a little island off the coast of Massachusetts. Now, this was the time of the energy crisis, and I was already green and thinking of environment. And I said, well, what are they going to do with this windmill when it's finished? And he said, well, they're going to generate electricity for this little island because they're running off of a diesel generator. And the price of diesel fuel has gone up 300% in the last 3 months, and they can't generate electricity for the 65 or 70 lobstermen that lived on this island. And I said to myself, wow, that sounds like a great movie. And I went to my landlord and a couple of people that I knew that were syndicating real estate in Washington, D.C. and New York City and said, could you guys come up with $75,000 or $100,000? Because I think this movie about these hippie engineer, artists, designers building this giant windmill would make a really good film. And damned if they didn't step up. And I think I met Gabby in November, and at that time the windmill was supposed to be finished in October the following year. Well, the windmill wasn't finished for another 3 years. So we ended up shooting 5 or 6 sessions over a 2-year period as this group, this ragtag group of entrepreneurs and altruistic artists built this giant windmill. And they finally built the windmill, and it worked for about 2 weeks, and we finished the movie, and we sent it to the San Francisco International Film Festival, and it won Best Documentary at the San Francisco International Film Festival, which qualified it to enter in the Oscars. We entered it in the Oscars, and it was nominated for an Academy Award. Everybody returned my phone call until the other film won, and 6 months later I was driving a cab. But I certainly think that film and television, internet, niche programming has definitely, I mean, the market has exploded. We've come a long way. I mean, documentary really is it's a business now. There are just a myriad number of outlets that never existed before. This is really a golden age for documentaries. I mean, there's probably more documentary film being created now than maybe since the 1930s, since the Works Progress Administration. When I was 17 or 18 years old, the SLR, single lens reflex camera, the Nikon, appeared on the screen, on the scene. When I was a kid, my analogy is that when I was a kid, the SLR, the single lens reflex camera, the Nikon, the Nikromats, came out and put a lot of photographers out of business because anybody could pick up a camera and shoot. And that's kind of where we're at now. But I think at the end of the day, you still have to tell a good story. So where does that leave a filmmaker with 30 years of experience and craft and storytelling to go? The decision that I have made is that I have to find a venue that will allow me to utilize that 30 years of experience. And the venue that I have chosen are these large format destination films. I think that experience and knowledge and craft really counts. You just have to find a venue that reflects the experience and the knowledge and the craft.